Peace. What's going on, everybody? This is going to be a real quick video. And I know I say that all the time, and it's not always a quick video, but I'm going to do my best this time. First, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for coming. Today, what I wanted to discuss real briefly is the Dave Chappelle situation, right? Number one, I personally saw, I don't know if everybody else did, but I personally saw some things that were very, very misleading. And luckily, I am the kind of person that I'm always gonna do my due diligence, especially before I speak on something publicly, right? So I made sure that I watched the whole skit, the whole monologue rather, before making this video. Because like I said, I just don't like to speak on something that I'm really not versed in. So with that being said, the first thing, or one of the first things that I saw, was that this was like a 45-minute monologue. And that raised questions in my mind, because I'm like, well, the show is only like an hour long, like, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really watch SNL like that. But as it turns out, the entire monologue was like 16 minutes, which is super long for SNL because they are a skit variety show. And to give him that amount of time is crazy, but he is the biggest comedian in the world, or arguably the biggest comedian, definitely in the top 5 biggest comedians in the world. So that is one thing. It was not 45 minutes. Second, you would have thought from the way that people were presenting it on their social media pages and in the comments and comment sections on certain articles, you would have thought that Dave Chappelle did an entire comedy section sounding like Kanye West. And honestly, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. When I first heard that, and that was the insinuation that I kept seeing over and over, the first thing I was like, I prayed that was not the case, because I would have been extremely, extremely disappointed because of the amount of respect that I have for Dave Chappelle and his craftsmanship to his art, right? This is a guy who does tons of research about things and then finds a way to tie some kind of humor into that and then present it to the public. And if you think that I'm just bullshitting, I implore you to go back and watch any of his comedy specials. I'm not talking about the Chappelle Show. I'm talking about his comedy specials. He always comes up with some kind of topic that is connected to what is happening in the world that really makes us think, and a lot of times makes people end up Googling and doing some kind of research. So I was very happy that was not the kind of rant that he went on. And I gotta say that I wasn't surprised that there were so many people willing to openly mislead other people about him. With all of that being said, I understand, number one, I am not Jewish. So for me to speak on the sensitivities of Jewish people as far as anti-Semitism goes may be considered by some me stepping outside of my lane. And the only thing that I could say to that is I apologize that you feel that way, but I am somebody who is human. Number one, this is a public subject, and on top of that, my real world, real life advocacy shows and proves that anything that I'm doing is done with sincerity, right? And definitely with no kind of malice in my heart. So with that being said, from at least gauging it, and this is where I think that not even we can agree to disagree, but we should agree on at least levels, right? Because there, in my opinion, there is no question that the rants that Kanye West, for example, went on and is still going on are absolutely, no question, anti-Semitism. No question, right? Pretty much the same with Kyrie, right? I did not watch that documentary, but I know enough about the Black Hebrew Israelite dudes to know that anything that they rocking with is a bunch of bullshit. So I understand the classification level, right? But my problem becomes when people start putting Dave Chappelle at that level. You can't do that. That you can't do that because it's not accurate and it's not right. And the people that are doing this are doing this because they want to sensationalize a subject that is very real and is very painful. Like, for example, my wife just sent an article to me about the Black Hebrew Israelite dudes that's doing a protest today in New York City in front of the Barclays Center, right? It's hundreds of these dudes. Now, me personally, bigger, your mans that you're looking at right now, I've gotten into it with these dudes. So I understand why the Jewish community would be worried, for lack of a better term, that these people are showing up in force in Brooklyn, right? I totally get that. I could see a connection with a Kanye West in that situation. I could see an obvious connection with Kyrie Irving because they're doing it in the name of Kyrie Irving, right? But to associate somebody with Dave Chappelle, and I haven't seen this done, right? But I'm just saying, last week I was hearing, or throughout this week, I was hearing comparisons of Dave Chappelle and Kanye West because they are friends, right? The problem, or the thing that I noticed rather, is that a lot of the hatred that Dave Chappelle was getting was rooted in anti-blackness, and I don't believe that that's something that is being discussed enough. And the last few videos that I've done have focused on anti-blackness as well as anti-Semitism, but I'm noticing the trend of anti-blackness being pushed to the background a lot. So I'm going to be talking about that a lot more and exposing it when I see it. But as far as this situation goes, a lot of the people that were speaking so much about Dave Chappelle was doing that from a space of anti-blackness. And I say that because it appears to me that out of all the times and all of the different people that make comments and promote videos and stuff like that, the public only seems to go hard when it's a black person saying the words or telling the joke. It's not the same fervor when it's somebody else of another nationality or ethnicity. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because I see it for what it is. One thing that I do want to discuss that was brought to my attention, right, as being considered anti-Semitic that Dave Chappelle spoke about was his reference to there being a lot of Jews in Hollywood. The reality is that is a factual statement. The reality is that there are a lot of Jewish people in the entertainment business, period. The reason for that is because the Jewish community was able to assimilate in certain ways, right? And because of that assimilation, they were able to get into these companies and get into positions of power. That is not to say, and that means that it is not okay to say, that all Jews are benefiting from the Jewish people who are in power in Hollywood. Because by that same metric, wouldn't black people be benefiting? Right? And even though I'm talking about Dave Chappelle right now, the thing that bothered me, or one of the things that bothered me the most about Kanye, was I don't doubt that Kanye got jerked in some contracts. I don't doubt that the people who jerked him in those contracts happen to have a Jewish last name or be ethnically Jewish. But I do know that the entire Jewish community did not profit from that. So they should not be held accountable for that. That's absolutely unfair. This is what I'm saying. I see it for what it is. I'm going to call it what it is. And if I'm not seeing something, I really wish that somebody would point it out to me in the comment section. Because the way that I'm seeing it right now, there was no problem with Dave Chappelle speaking about black trauma. But as soon as he spoke about anything else, that's when it became an issue. And we can't do that. Because if we do, what'll end up happening is we're going to cull the entire comedy community. Because everybody is going to be fearful of the repercussions of making a joke. So comedy is going to become corny because it's going to be only certain subjects that could be touched on. If you don't like a certain comedian or a certain type of comedy, by all means, you should not support that comedy. But to label a comedian an anti-Semite when that is not the case is unfair. And I really would like a explanation, a conversation, if I'm missing that point. So with that said, I'm going to say peace. Hopefully this video was not too long. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the like button. Give me the thumbs up if you like the video. And as always, feel free to comment, but let's try to keep it respectful. I'm going to return whatever energy I get. So if you give me some crazy energy, then expect to get that back. But I am absolutely open and asking for open dialogue. So with that said, peace. One.